Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to continue to work on the 88 Restore project. I'm really ready to throw some paint down on these doors as well as the chassis of the car. But before I mix up any paint, I've got to clean up the hood hinges and the door hinges and a few other small items that need to be painted, but they need to be prepped. And a good way to do that is with this new ultrasonic cleaner here from VEVOR. They sent this out to me to try out, and it's the first time I've ever used an ultrasonic cleaner, so we're going to give it a shot. Let's get this thing unboxed and see what it's all about. Alright, this is the 10-liter version of this ultrasonic cleaner. They have a lot of different versions. I will leave a link down in the description below for this particular one. The size here is pretty good, 12 inches by 9.5 inches by 6 inches deep. Now when you put the basket in, it is a little bit smaller volume. So you got to be aware of that as far as the size limitation of what parts you're going to put in. The parts I'm going to be using today are just over here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those and take a look at what we're going to be putting in here and see how this thing does. Alright, step one of these parts here is going to be just to clean them up, degrease them, get all the grime off of there before we try to de-rust. And what I'm going to use is just this awesome cleaner here. This is stuff I got at Home Depot. I'm just going to dilute it about 50-50 here with water. I just want to make sure I fill this unit all the way up above the basket. That way to prevent damage, because you will damage the unit if you don't fill it at least halfway full or 75% of the way full. So keep that in mind when you're using this. For these parts here, I'm going to go with what it's set to right now, 10 minutes on the timer for the ultrasonic portion. I'm not going to use the heater portion just yet because I do have a large volume of water and cleaner in there, and it does take a while for the heating portion to get up to temperature. So I'm going to avoid that for right now, and we'll see how the parts look after I run it for 10 minutes. This sound is pretty annoying, so I'm going to let you hear what it sounds like for just a second, and then I'm going to overlay some music, and then we'll see what they look like after 10 minutes. As you can see, the cleaner solution is very nasty now. It's like a brown color, so it did get a lot of that dirt off of the hinges. I am going to put the hinges in there a little bit longer. They do still have some surface grime on there, so 10 minutes is not quite enough with the cold cleaner. If this was hot, it would probably do a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and put them back in the basket and drop them in here for another 10. Probably I'm going to go ahead and set it to 20 minutes. and that way we make sure it's all cleaned up, and then we'll be ready to use the rust remover next. Honestly, after two 20-minute sessions in there, this thing came out really nice. All that grime, especially around this spring, has been removed. This thing is ready to bolt back up, and the zinc coating is highly visible. This thing is in great shape now. I'm really happy with how this turned out. This cleaner in here is really dirty, but it's still usable, and so I'm going to throw in a few more parts here, but after I do that, I'm going to actually take this cleaner out of here and put some rust converter in there, evapor rust. I've got it down here, and then we're going to go ahead and stick some of these items in here that have some surface rust and let it sit overnight, and then tomorrow we're going to come back and check it and see how they look. Alright, well, it's the next day here. These have been in here for about 18 hours. I took them out and I rinsed them off just like the directions on the evapor rust says. You don't want to leave that on there because it will continue to react with the metal. So it is neutralized now. Next step is really just to let these things dry, get them scuffed up a little bit, throw some etching primer on there, and they'll be ready for primer and paint. I've also got the doors set up over here. They're going to be painted today, hopefully. So I've got to clean those up, get them all masked up, and then start throwing some paint down. The garage is going to have to be cleaned up yet again because I have done a lot of work in here and got the floors pretty dirty. I'm really happy with how this ultrasonic cleaner works. It really takes a lot of the manual labor out of cleaning these parts, especially the parts that you really can't get into these cracks and crevices and get that grime out of there, that grease and all that buildup. So this thing here I would definitely recommend for small parts here. This is 1 foot wide, so it fits pretty good sized parts in there. I'm going to continue to use this for restoring the rest of these parts over here. I've got a lot of other things here to clean up, and I'm not going to do that in today's video. I've done enough of this today. So let's go ahead and get into this painting situation and get these doors knocked out today. All right, well, I want to give a shout out to VEVOR for the ultrasonic cleaner. Definitely check that out in the link below if you're interested in getting something like that. It really does an awesome job of cleaning in all these little nooks and crannies of these hinges and things like that. You really don't have to do any manual work on it. The hinges, with the help of the Evapo-Rust, were ready for primer right out of the ultrasonic cleaner. The doors are all painted and clear coated as well. I'm really happy with how it turned out, except for a few little trouble areas with some dirt that I'm going to sand down just like I've done on the rest of this stuff. There were a couple of fish eyes that I put some drops of clear coat in. I'm going to block those down and then polish it out, and you'll never know those were there. There's only maybe 3 or 4 across both the doors. They do look really good. I'm really happy to be done with the doors. The next step is really to pull the car in here and get the chassis painted finally, and that's going to be the biggest step, but it's going to be the final major hurdle. And then the rest of this is going to be sanding, polishing. No big deal. That goes a lot faster, and then start to put this car together. So I hope you'll stick around for that, and we'll see you in the next video.